Hey, what's going on, geeks? Max the Beast is here. Today, we're going to try something a little bit different. Today's video is going to be my top 10 favorite PC games. You know, I think we all have our favorite games out there, and these are just mine. Keep in mind, this is just my silly personal opinions, so if your favorite games differ from mine, that's fine. This is just my favorite games. And with that being said, the rules for this list is that I must have at least an hour into the game I'm going to be talking about, and ports from consoles are allowed. With that being said, let's begin. Number 10, Sword with Sauce Alpha. This game, as simplistic as it is super challenging. I personally am not good at stealth games, and this is no different. However, with Sword with Sauce Alpha, you have different approaches to each level. You can attempt to be sneaky beaky and kill everyone without them even noticing, or go in guns frickin' blazing and shoot everything that dares move in front of your reticle. It can be surprisingly difficult times, even on easier difficulties. But when you do actually do well, it feels really nice, and it can make you feel sometimes like you're out of an action movie. Although, one complaint I do have with it is that sometimes when your ammo is depleted from a weapon, it won't switch you back to your melee or whatever. So in one situation, I ended up with running out of gas grenades. Assuming I had my sword out, I started madly clicking. Then I ended up dying because, well, I'm unarmed technically, and I don't really have my fist equipped, so it's not really doing anything. That was very annoying for me. However, that's a small nuisance which I think can be fixed. Regardless, curse those stupid auto shotgun guys. Some more complaints for this that make this pick as high as it is oddly enough optimization. This used to be really good. I have no clue what happened, but somewhere along the line this game got a bit laggy, at least for me. In the gameplay here, you may notice sudden frame drops. This is incredibly annoying, especially when you are speeding through a level and attempting to kill off all of your opponents, when suddenly, frame drop. Another thing I noticed is oblivious AI. For a stealth game, the enemies you encounter are kinda dumb. You can take out their friend right in front of them and they will still be mostly unaffected by it. Just with the little red symbol above their heads slightly getting larger or filled up faster, depending on how close you are to them. And that's really all that happens. I'd suppose on the higher difficulties, this will be different, making it so enemies will be much more observant. However, at the current state I'm playing at, I'm not really experiencing many smart enemies. And while that could be considered a good thing, as I can breeze through a level with little to no trouble, I do want to challenge myself just a little bit, to the point where I'm still having fun, but still just not playing it super easy, if you get what I'm saying. All in all, for an alpha, this game can make you feel pretty cool at times. And it's definitely one of the better early access titles out there, featuring a very competent and active developer who releases updates every few weeks and comments multiple times on the comment section of the update pages. He's a very good developer. He works hard and he keeps up with his community, which is something I respect and look for in a developer. As you know, he's just not shelling out our money to everybody, right? Anyway, this is a really good game and I recommend anybody try it. Number 9 would be Warhammer Vermintide. You know, I really don't know that much about the Warhammer universe other than the fact that it's like Lord of the Rings. Fortunately for me, to play this game, your knowledge of the story doesn't really matter. This is essentially Left 4 Dead with rats instead of zombies and weapons from the Middle Ages. Players move across the map fighting off hordes of Skaven, which are human-like rats, and complete smaller objectives along the way to the carriage, which is pretty much your safe house. Swordplay feels really nice. It kind of sort of at times feels like Skyrim in a way. Just you don't have energy to worry about or mana. There's something oddly satisfying about just bashing in the skulls of rats. It's like that odd little pet peeve where you're just like, oh, this feels so good to just crush the insolent, meaningless little beings beneath your feet. It's a really nice feeling. It's just that weird, oddly satisfying thing that some of us gamers just enjoy having. And but being able to bash down doors is also really cool. It's very nice. And really cool, like I said. And yeah, there's something oddly satisfying about that. Like the Left 4 Dead games, Vermintide features specialized rats. Most of these are sadly ripped straight from the Left 4 Dead games, just with their own little twists. It's kind of sad the developers didn't really have that much creativity when it came to creating the specialized vermin, or Skaven. But you know, they did give them their own little original twists, making it slightly more original. Just sad that they couldn't really do anything that different. And again, I'm not going to go into that much detail about them, but essentially you have your smoker / jockey hybrid, your tank, your spitter, your hunter, and your charger. Perhaps down the road I'll make a separate video about this game and going into more detail on the different enemies and such. Time will tell about that. My biggest complaint for this game is a lack of players. For a game this good, there's really a small player base. It took me like 5 minutes to find a game with actual players in it. In most cases, I just hosted my own server with bots until someone would finally take control over a bot. And perhaps it's just because my PC isn't the greatest, but I have noticed some large frame drops during combat. This is annoying, but surprisingly it doesn't seem to make that big of a difference to me. You know, normally I'm the guy who will freak out at 30 frames, but with this, I honestly don't really mind. It's just kind of annoying when you're in a situation like this when there's a horde of these guys and the game decides to freak out on you. One final thing I'd like to mention about this game would be the fact that there's a sequel coming out pretty soon. Like, I think the game's been out at least a year now. I don't know exactly how long it's been out. I mean, I just got the game recently, so I haven't really had that much time to really play it. I've played a couple hours because, you know, I had to fit the requirement for this list. But I didn't know that there was a sequel coming out so soon. And it kind of surprised me. It kind of made me feel kind of sad. But then I found out it's going to be the same price as the original, so at least I can, when it comes out in spring 2018, I should be able to foot the bill for that. Anyway, great game, actually. If you like Left 4 Dead, you're going to really like this. Especially if you like Left 4 Dead 2. Because this kind of feels like Left 4 Dead 2 in ways. With the excellent melee combat and all that. But anyway, on to number whatever's after this. Battlefield 1. This is one of the best ports I think I've ever played, to be honest. You know? I love this game! With 60 plus hours compiled or combined from both PS4 and PC, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding on how this game works. It's my first Battlefield game, actually. Battlefield 1 is a jewel of an FPS game. The controls work excellently and shooting feels reliable and on point. By the way, the game takes place in World War I, if you can't tell. And most of the weapons are of the time period and or are prototype weapons that were tested during battle, which is actually really cool. And stuff like the Harrigal wasn't really an actual weapon commonly used, but it was a prototype weapon. Sadly, the developers, as this is World War I, this means no assault rifles, so sorry for you AK-47 spammers from Battlefield Hardline. You're not going to really have that much of a time with that here in this game. But don't worry, the Hellregal will kind of make up for that for you. Everything feels pretty much on point. The graphics are great. The gameplay itself is great. Just everything you can do in it is great. And I personally feel like the PC version is a lot better than the console version. Because better player base. And mouse and keyboard. You know, I say anything else? I mean, I can aim so much better with a mouse and keyboard than I can with a friggin' controller. Let's be honest about that. And we have plenty of other weapons to play around with, by the way. And the game itself feels really immersive. To the point where I really feel like I'm part of an actual battle at times. The maps are very believable, and you can actually believe them that they're actually battlefields. It feels super immersive. Unlike its counterpart, Call of Duty World War censorship. Next up, we got Black Wake. This game is very crazy. Crazy awesome! Picture the game Guns of Icarus online, just on the ocean with pirates and British people. The amount of content in the game is incredible. Players must load cannons step by step and actually use skill to fire the thing. The amount of teamwork required to take down one enemy ship is awe-inspiring. Crew members must run around repairing things to prevent the ship from sinking, while also reloading cannons and preventing enemy boarding. It can be very stressful for a captain to successfully lead a crew into enable victory. But if you do succeed, it feels really satisfying. Sword combat feels great as well. I just wish I had more footage of that kind of combat, but maybe in the future when I do an actual gameplay video about this game, we can see more of that. My major complaint is that the occasional cancerous teammate will spoil the fun for everybody else. Friendly fire is always on, meaning a troll can just wipe out a crew with the right weapon. But, you know, it's not really that often that you have a stupid team killer, but when it does, it can be annoying, and your teammates will respond to that. Also, the teammates who get really salty when they don't get picked to be captain can be very toxic and just very annoying to be around. It's kind of sad that people can be this cancerous sometimes. Like, look at the chat area where people are trying to kick our current captain. Like, WTF? But all in all, this is a really good game, and I'd recommend anybody who is a fan of Guns of Icarus Online to try this out. It's much more realistic than Guns of Icarus, as this actually is based off of a historical standpoint. And yeah, it's really cool. Let's just mention the graphics for a second here. I mean, just look at this. This is medium settings, and this looks gorgeous. And I'm getting some mixed frames because of weather, but still, this game looks and runs amazingly. And just the amount of teamwork you have to put into it, and just the amount of steps that you're required to do to actually load and fire a cannon, it's incredibly realistic. Which is great. I love that fact. Anyway, do what you want, cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. Land ho! Next up, we got Sid Meier's Civilization 6. This game has sadly received some pretty mixed reviews on Steam. You know, I personally enjoy the game for what it is. A civilization game. The new units, the overhauled to currency and happiness, culture, the great people. Excuse me. It all feels really good to me. Not to mention the new leaders you get to play as. I am a sucker for civilization games, and this was calling me for ages. Pun proudly intended. This game will be a game where I will lose my entire real life day because someone declared a surprise war on me. Thanks, Brazil. But, jokes aside, this is a really solid strategy game. I'm not really that big on strategy games, but the Civilization games have always been the one strategy title series that has really made me come back for more. I played Civilization, the iOS version of Civilization, on my iPad and had a blast with that. And then Seeper actually got me into Civilization 5 on PC. And I've invested over 100 some hours into Civ 5, and I look forward to investing such time into Civ 6. I love these games. They just feel so good and so much fun to play through. Oh my gosh, I cannot get over how good these games are. And Civilization 6 is sadly one of the ones that has gotten the most mixed ratings. I still give it a very positive in my book, as it's a fun game. Civilization game. It's going to be fun. But, yes, thank you very much, Brazil, for the surprise war. If you haven't seen my actual Let's Play on it, go check it out and you'll see what I'm talking about. Some of you who have will know what I'm talking about. Let's be honest. Brazil, why you gotta be so frickin' violent? The game that has taken Steam by storm. The game that has taken the internet with excitement and love and tears and broken keyboards and rages and oh my gosh, what happened? PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I love this game to death. This is definitely the best Battle Royale game on the market right now. At least in my opinion. It's realistic. The shooting feels on par, on key. It's much more tactical than games like Fortnite or H1Z1. Which, fun fact, King of the Kill is no longer its name, it's just H1Z1 now. And guess what they called the survival branch? Just Survive. It's literally Just Survive now. Like, seriously. Anyway, back to PUBG. This game is frickin' awesome. It's challenging, though, as you're stuck on a server with 100 other players, each landing down on pretty much random spots on a very large map, where players must loot houses, find supplies, and weapons, and armor, and clothing, and a bunch of other stuff to attempt to survive against the other players. Last man standing wins. It can be very hectic. Yeah, it can also be pretty slow paced as well, very tactical and smooth, and you can be pretty stealthy sometimes. My approach to this game was I typically try to avoid players as long as possible and then just draw them into me. Wait for them to get into an enclosed space and shotgun them to death. But it takes strategy about where you're going to land after you jump off out of the plane. And just knowing how to shoot and play FPS games is a great thing to have for this. As this is a shooter, and it plays as such. It is one of the best playing shooter games I've ever played, and it isn't even a full-on FPS game. While your frame rate will be pretty much all over the place sometimes unless you're running a really good rig, it'll still get you good frame rates. And I personally haven't had that big issues with optimization. And the game, as I said, is much slower than H1Z1, meaning you're going to have more time where you're just running around, exploring the map, and looting. And of course you're going to have your pretty major gunfights, but you're also going to have the times where you're just running across an open field, or looting a house, and sorting through your inventory for stuff you do or do not need. Which, personally, this fits my playstyle much more because I'd rather have time to choose my engagements and think about stuff like this smartly than being like an H1Z1 where you're all just running around, oh, look at me, I have a gun, I have to shoot people with it now. No, with PUBG you have to be smart and tactical about it. Listen for sounds. One sound in one direction could give you enough intel to turn a situation around. And then one piece of misinformation can lead to you or your squad's downfall. As happened in the video that me and the Dream Team made. All in all, this game is very challenging, yet also very rewarding. You just have to get good at it. and I love it to death. So PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, keep up the good work. And you'll definitely see some more PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds content coming from me. Just you wait. Oh, and even vehicles feel good, by the way. Unlike H1Z1, they're not flying into space or whatever. They're actually pretty grounded and very realistic. Anyway, that's enough about that. Onward to number 4. By the way, don't stream snipe. You will get banned. For number 4, we got Overwatch. I know some of you may have stuck around with the channel for a while now, may have known, but I am a sucker for Overwatch. I'm not an Overwatch channel, but I love this game to death. I say as I'm death spectating somebody. But the game is amazing. One of the best shooters on the market right now. I've had a blast playing this game. And I just can't help but not leave this off of the list. As I've put so much time into perfecting my skill at the game. And just having an overall blast playing it. And there's a reason why it's been getting such good reviews. The game itself is a lot of fun. Heavily skill-based, class-based. It's basically TF2 in a MOBA style. With more characters, with a 26th hero coming out here in the next few days. Or in the upcoming weeks. Which is pretty crazy how a year afterwards we're getting so much new content, so much stuff to do. The game has a high learning curve with currently 25, soon to be 26 as stated, heroes to play as in the game. You have so much stuff that you have to learn. And that's very good for me. And for many players, as there's always going to be somebody who's better than you at a character. There's always going to be somebody out there who knows what they're doing more than you do. And that always will make you keep on your toes. Even when you feel like you have a character down, you're going to have to try a little bit harder to counter somebody who's good at another character. It's like a giant rock, paper, scissors match. And to be honest, I love that. It's highly skill-based, meaning you can't just play a no-skill, be no-skill, W plus mouse 1 pyro in this game. It means you actually have to use tactics. Be smart, play smart. Get good at your character. Learn the ins and outs of the game, what you can and can't do. There's a reason why this is such a highly competitive game. It's because it's a good game to be an esport. It's an absolute blast. I can't get over how good this game is. I can just ramble on and on and on about how good this game is. But it's just so good. Like, holy crap, you're never going to perfect this. It's an art that you have to just practice and get really good at before you could say, I'm a master Overwatch player. And just knowing that there's going to be somebody constantly better than you, it means that you're going to have a lot to learn. And I love that in games. As I keep stating, Overwatch, keep up the good work. Good going, Blizzard. Good job. My choice for number 3 may surprise you, actually. My choice for number 3 is CSGO. Now you guys might be wondering, Max, seriously, CSGO is your pick over Overwatch? Man, I thought you, abandoned CSGO. While I'm not playing CSGO as much as I used to, I still thoroughly enjoy the game, competitively. And no, I'm not the best player in the game. I just really enjoy playing it. CSGO is a game that I've made so many friends just playing through. The community itself is mediocre. But you can occasionally run into a game where you just find some people you just click with and would want to stay friends with. I made some really great friends over just playing a few matches of CSGO. And playing it the way I do now, competitively and 60 FPS constantly, is just excellent. I've made so many, like I said, so many connections through CSGO. You've made a few friends that I've met in real life over just playing the game. And just looking at it from a social aspect, that's amazing that a game can make me just feel this way. Just feel happy. Make friendships. But let's talk about the game itself, shall we? CSGO is a competitive first-person shooter developed by Valve, which is the creator of Steam if you don't know. It is currently the third most popular game on Steam. For good reason. The game's shooting mechanics feel really good. They feel precise and skill-based, meaning you have to practice a lot if you want to beat some of the better players. If you want to be a good player and get to a high rank in competitive, you gotta work for it. It's not like some other games where you just, like in Call of Duty, where you're just like, oh, here's a gun, play the game and you're gonna do well eventually. No, you have to practice your aim. You have to practice shooting techniques. You have to practice the ins and outs of where it's good to hide and where it's not good to hide on a map. Just practice map locations, but rotations, strategies. This is a very tactical game, and I love that. I love, as I said about PUBG, I love the games where you don't just rush in there and do stuff. You have to think before you do things, and look before you leap. Play strategically, and you'll come out on top. That is the kind of gameplay I love to see, and CSGO captures that perfectly for me. As I said in that Why I Can't Play Competitive Overwatch video, I am a big and avid fan of a competitive nature. I have a massive competitive nature. And that's a good thing to me, as that makes me strive to be a better player at all times. And CSGO just makes me strive to get to that next level. I can't stress enough how much I love this game. Holy crap. Some complaints I do have about this game is transactions for cosmetic items. Yeah, they're cosmetic, but come on. Who doesn't like seeing the coolest looking skin on their weapon? I love looking at my weapons, and if the gun skin looks bad, I just feel bad about it. And sometimes I feel compelled to play the game just because skins. I don't know why, I just do. It's weird and kind of stupid, to be honest, but I do. It's weird. Anybody else have that feeling? But, and another complaint is the community itself, is that sometimes it can be just very cancerous. Just somebody's just always salty about something. And to be honest, it just doesn't feel good to me. It's not good. The community could definitely use work. But, I mean, as long as it's not really affecting me and my playstyle, I'm okay. Anyway, I've rambled enough about CSGO. Onward to number 2. Number 2 is Subnautica. Now, I'm sure that some of you have been seeing this coming from the start of the list. Like, hey, Max loves Subnautica. He has to pick the game at some point. Well, here it is. Subnautica. How do I explain this game? It is one of the best single-player games I think I've ever played. And the game is screaming co-op. It is just so good. Just the atmosphere of the game. The biomes are beautiful. The gameplay itself is on par. I have fallen in love with Planet 4546B. And there are a few single-player games out there where I genuinely care about the story nowadays. And I love the way Subnautica handles their story, and let me explain that. Subnautica advertises itself as an underwater survival game on an alien planet, which it is. And it does that very incredibly well. But underneath there's a story behind the planet that, instead of like some games nowadays where it tells you exactly what you're supposed to be looking for and shoves the story mode right down your throat, Subnautica handles this in a very ingenious way, where you could just be exploring and suddenly you find an incredible piece of the story without even realizing it. Complete accidental. You find a piece of the story, and then you explore it, and you find out something incredible about the planet or about the survivors who were there before you, about the alien race who was there before the Aurora even crash landed. You find stuff like that just scattered around, and it's like, holy crap. It handles it so creatively, so awesomely. It just feels awesome, to say the least. And you don't feel like this is being shoved down your throat either. While, yeah, you do get transmissions from, like, life pods and a rescue ship and stuff that will lead you to parts of the story, it's optional. You can completely skip some of this stuff. You don't even have to go to the life pods if you don't want to. You're just going to miss out on some blueprints, but you don't have to complete the game. And you don't even... And, yeah, you will have to eventually go to some of the story parts to complete it, but you're not forced to. And that's great. Subnautica, just the way everything else plays out as well. The crafting, sure, some parts can feel like a grind, but after hours of dedication and hard work, just looking at what you created is incredible. It makes you feel accomplished. It's a strong sense of accomplishment I have not felt in other games. And Subnautica just makes you feel like, yes, I actually did something that I wasn't able to do before. I feel great about doing this. And just the feeling of that in and of itself is great. Now, a few complaints I do have about Subnautica is poor optimization at the moment. The developers have accessed and admitted that their optimization is subpar. But in the most recent survey after the most recent update, the game is running 9% better than it was, which is saying something. Which, even before then, it was still running pretty well, but in areas like this, I'm getting some constant frame drops. And they're saying, we're going to fix this by full release, don't worry. They're working on fixing optimization, which I can respect a developer that points out, that accepts their own flaws like this. Unknown Worlds, you have successfully created the best early access title out there. Good frickin' job. I am forever in your debt for making such a fabulous game. I am in love. I can already see the look on some of y'all's faces now. Killing Floor 2? That's your favorite game on PC? No. Before we unveil my true top pick, let's get to a few honorable mentions. One being Killing Floor 2. This game, while I love it to death and I have put more time into it than I have in Vermintide, I just feel like Vermintide, to me, as good of a game as Killing Floor 2 is, I feel like Vermintide was a better pick for this list. And I didn't really feel good about having two of these horde survival games on the same list. Now, perhaps down the road, if I ever make a survival game list, then Killing Floor 2 and Vermintide could be on the same list. But as of now, I just had to go with Vermintide over this. As good of a game as Killing Floor 2 is, I just felt like Vermintide fit the list better. Another highlight for me is Assassin's Creed 3 PC port. Well, some of the Assassin's Creed ports on PC have been questionable. Syndicate. Unity. Um, Assassin's Creed 3 port felt really good to me. Yeah, sure you have your occasional glitches, but every game has glitches. And I've had a blast playing Assassin's Creed 3 here on PC. But the reason why this game didn't make the list is because it's kind of old. While, yeah, it looks good, it's not really to par with some of these other games nowadays. So as good of a game as this is, it just didn't really feel like it should make the list. Yeah, so I've only played the beta. But Star Wars Battlefront 2 is such a good game. I thoroughly enjoyed my time playing the beta. And I'm looking forward to getting the actual game and playing it. But as I've only had experience with the beta and not the actual game, this wouldn't feel right going as my number one pick. Anyway, with that being said, here's number one. My number one pick is Grand Theft Auto Online. You might be saying, Max, let me get this straight. So your favorite game of all time on PC is GTA 5 Online, of all things? Yeah, the single player was good, but online is just cancerous. I personally would have to disagree. I met some pretty cool people on playing GTA Online, and I've had an absolute blast doing so. I've hooked up with a few friends who play online as well, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my time doing this. It's a really fun game, and I prefer the online over the single player, to be honest, as this feels like just a lot bigger than the single player, as you have other people who are constantly interacting with one another, which is companies that players can found and run and be a part of. And then just the overall chaos of the game. It feels really awesome. Just being in these intense shootouts and moments like this, and just in races and a bunch of other stuff. While I may not have the best driving skills, the vehicles do work very well. And I have had an absolute blast playing online with my friends, and I prefer the online version over single player because it just feels bigger, better, just crazier, and I love that feeling. You know? It's just awesome. And it's by far the best PC console game to PC port I think I've ever seen. Just the gameplay itself is a lot of fun. Just being a criminal mastermind and just doing a bunch of random stuff, derping around with friends and free roam robbing stores, going through heists. It's awesome. And yeah, while we might not be the best at heists, there's still a lot of fun to go through. And I highly encourage you, if you have GTA on PC, to play the online version. Who knows? Maybe you'll end up gaming with me from time to time, because I'm going to be on there constantly now. I am in love with GTA Online. By any chance, did you agree with my list? If so, please consider hitting the like button. I'm sorry that this video has been a bit on the long side, but I just felt like making this long was something I had to do to explain my thoughts on this. I'm sorry if it's been really long for a top 10 list. I know it, and I'm sorry, and I'll try better to shorten it up for another video, for another top 10. For my next top 10, I'll make it shorter. But for this, I felt like it was justified. Anyway, guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, consider hitting the like button, and subscribing for future content, and hitting the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video, whether it is a top 10 or not. By the way, this is my first video completely scripted, and even then it was just freaking long. but you know, I did feel like I actually could be myself in this. So maybe I was just prematurely judging myself back in July. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed, and be sure to subscribe if you're new and you haven't already. As I feel like, and as YouTube is kind of making us smaller content creators beg for subscribers because we need the money. Or views, because I'm not doing this for money. I just do this to entertain people. Anyway, regardless of why I do YouTube, thanks again for watching, and as always, Max the Beast is out.